Hello, this is Greg Allison, Green Greg's Garden and Worm Farm, coming to you on the wee hours of the Ides of March 2020. I'm coming to tell you today the 5 key things that you need to know to stay alive and to hopefully thrive with this COVID-19 infection that is going around. What can you do? I have covered some of these items in many of my videos before, but they're kind of scattered around. And I've had people ask me about them. I've had people ask me, Greg, what do I do? And I say, watch my videos. But I realize it's scattered around. So this is going to be a concentrated video. I'm going to mention again the 5 things that you need to do to stay alive and thrive in the midst of this COVID-19 pandemic. And I'm also going to paint a little perspective about this. I'm going to tell you about this virus. I'm going to tell you why these things really matter, why they're important, and what we may be looking at in the long term. So what you need to know first and foremost is the most important thing you can do to survive this is build up your immunity. And I say that because it is projected that perhaps as high as 70 or more % of the population of the planet may get this disease before it is finished making its run. Some people say 80. Some people make lower estimates, and let's hope that number is far lower. That does not mean that you are going to die, but it does mean that you may suffer. And the biggest consequences of this may be the economic aspects of what spills out of this, but it does not mean it's an overreaction. We will talk about these things in a moment. But let's get to your immunity. To boost your immunity, you need good minerals, good vitamins. You need to, first and foremost, eat good food. You need to eat organic food if you can, but mainly food that has good mineralization, good micronutrients in it. You can talk to farmers if you're buying food from them, ask them how they grow things. If you're buying the vegetables from the grocery store that are the cardboard variety vegetables that are shipped all across the country, know this, that the longer a vegetable is shipped, the less nutritional value it has. The vitamins and other nutrient values of contained within that vegetable decay rapidly in time. And these things are typically picked green and shipped sometimes from the southern hemisphere here in the wintertime. And these vegetables are designed for a long shelf life in the store, not for being good, not for being nutritive. So you need to have better food. I'm going to talk about vitamins and many other things here, so this is not my only thing. I'm just starting out with this. You're best off, of course, if you grow your own food, because then you can control what you put into it. One really good thing you can do is get heirloom seeds. Heirloom seeds enable you to replant from the seeds you harvest as opposed to hybrid seeds. And a real good source for that is True Leaf Market, which will be in the links below. And you can also grow microgreens. Microgreens are up to 40 times more nutritive than the full vegetable. And True Leaf Market has a full range of supplies and seeds you need to grow microgreens. So enough said about that. The micronutrients, though, are key and important. And for your heart health, you need things like magnesium. Eat tree nuts if you can eat them. I had someone tell me they're allergic to tree nuts. Well, and then we're talking about all the heart problems they had. Well, that's no surprise because you need the magnesium. It's very deficient in our diet because of big farms just fertilize most with NPK. Occasionally put out a little lime, but NPK. So you're very deficient in micronutrients because they keep harvesting the same area all the time, and those nutrients get depleted from the soils and never replaced. I've harped enough on that. So let's talk about other things that you can do to boost your immunity. Well, there are herbs that you can use, and this is one I picked a while back. I'm just doing some fresh ones. This is turmeric. I grow plenty of organic turmeric. I will have links to this on my website before too long. The one that I sell worms on, but not right now. And I'm harvesting this stuff. But turmeric is anti-inflammatory. One of the key ways that COVID-19 attacks you is through inflammation in your lungs and tissues, particularly in your lungs. So this is very vital for boosting your immune system. It has many benefits to it. I will go into this stuff more in the future. I like to just take this stuff and cut it up, trim it up into small pieces. You can grate it. I just slice mine and I put it in my salads. You can put it in your meats. You can put it in your scrambled eggs. You can slice it up, put it in a dryer, dry it, then grind it up and use it as a typical spice if you so choose. There are many ways to consume this. People make golden milk and they make tea from it. So I'll cover more of those type uses of this in upcoming sessions of my new video series, Quarantine Living. Enough said about that. What can you take in the area of supplements to boost your immunity? There are many. Most notably, most people are aware of vitamin C. Now, this is a vitamin C tablet. It beats nothing because it does have vitamin C in it. You can see 1,000 milligrams, 5 tablets in this particular jar. But these are press tablets, and most of what you get in this is going to go straight through you. You need forms of vitamin C that are more absorbable, and there's more than one. But this is a very absorbable form of vitamin C, liposomal vitamin C. I'm not recommending a particular brand, and mind you, I'm not a medical doctor, so do take all this stuff at that value and consider. The disclaimer is I have to tell you to consult with your medical doctor. Of course, the medical doctors won't tell you to take all kind of other crazy medicines, right? So you have to think about that. Vitamin C helps boost your immunity, but perhaps the single most important vitamin for boosting your immunity and helping you fight off colds, viruses, and bacteria is vitamin D, and particularly vitamin D3. Now, vitamin D, I've taken a lot of this over the years. That does have a little bit of a side effect, and it does demineralize your bones a little bit. And in so doing, it can leave calcium in your bloodstream, which can deposit in plaques in your bloodstream, which, with plaque, you don't need that. Although what it's trying to do is really take care of some fissures in your blood vessels. But to keep it from doing that, to keep it from forming a concrete sludge in your veins, the most important vitamin to take is vitamin K2. Now, you can get K2 from certain fermented foods. Also, vitamin K in general is richly found in green leafy vegetables. That said, that the K2 variety is most important. And taking capsules for this is very good, especially if you're taking the D3. Vitamin D3 and vitamin D are so important that my people who came from Northern Europe, Nordic line, Northern European people in general, have very light colored skin because we needed bring in more sunlight to enhance our vitamin D. It was a climatological survival adaptation. Being so far north, not getting enough vitamin D, it became important to be able to absorb more sunlight, more ultraviolet. Of course, guys like me fry in the warmer latitudes, like where I live now in Alabama. We fry, we burn, we sizzle. But it was worth taking that risk in order for us to have the vitamin D. Vitamin D is very critical. Like I said, vitamin D3, taken with vitamin K2 and vitamin C. Also, Greg, what if I run out of vitamins? Vitamin D3, best way is go out in the sun. Vitamin K2, eat green leafy foods. If you can do the fermented foods, that's better. Kefir and some other things are really good in that. Now, for vitamin C, there is a really good alternative, and I've covered it in past videos, pine needles. Pine needles happen to be very rich in vitamin C. Now, you might want to check around with your local experts to make sure which pines are safe to use. Most pines in North America are. I think there may be a species or two in some of the small areas that are not. Every pine in the area where I live is fine to use. That said, unless maybe it's an ornamental pine bought in from God knows where. That said, don't boil the pine needles. I have seen that in various survival videos, and they're wrong. If you boil it, you might be making turpentine. It's best to boil the water and then stick in the pine needles and let them steep. Or you probably see me chew some of them in a video too. I've done that since I was a kid. And it has a nice tangy flavor. So chewing pine needles is good. And pine needles are very helpful for that vitamin C. Now, another thing, of course, if you make a tea, you may want a honey. And I'll talk about this again in a minute. That is not so much an immune booster, but it is so much more of an antiviral. So that was the main immune boosters. So yeah, antivirals. There's several. Elderberry syrup, elderberry jellies, and I've been buying. I should have brought some of that here to show you. I'm eating elderberry jellies right now. I had some tonight. I had a peanut butter and elderberry sandwich, elderberry jelly sandwich. This honey, this oh, I have to turn it this way when you see it right. This man, I don't know if I hope I don't murder the name. Manuka honey. This stuff is really thick, but it's said to be very antiviral and antibacterial. All honey is. Some other claims that this is more so than others. So you might try this raw. It's very expensive. This jar, I bought it at a health food store, cost me about $30. But I'm hoping that it's worthwhile. And basically what I do with this particular variety, it's got a little pop top. And before I can go to bed at night, I can just turn my head back and squeeze it and let this go down the back of my throat. And hopefully it will cleanse bacteria in the back of your throat. So other things you can do, I do have colloidal silver here. Now my friend Paul Cottrell, Dr. Paul Cottrell, actually sells a nano colloidal silver, which may be more effective. I'm told this particular brand doesn't make you turn blue. It's supposed to be immune support, see the bottom. Now, I'm not going to swear to that because I'm not a medical doctor. And so this is not medical advice. This is just discussions in general about things that can abuse your immune system. So you do take this with some risk. If you ever did, it could cause some organ damage. Silver can wipe out your gut biome, which is one of your lines of defense. So you've got to be careful in how you use this. But it might save your life. Might. I said might. I know a lady who takes this regularly. She takes it for a little while and quits. Takes it a little while, quits. She's done it for years, and she's not blue. I know another lady who is blue. She'll take this particular variety, but she's quite happy with being blue because she said it saved her life. Well, that's her own valued proposition. Some people probably rather die than be blue. I don't know. People do look at her kind of funny, bless her heart. She is a really nice, great, sweet woman, but that it is. It is what it is. So that's some of the key things. I did mention elderberry syrup. There are many other things that are antiviral. A lot of people use ginger. You can make all kinds of nice concoctions with turmeric and ginger and honey and tea, cinnamon and tea, and various other things. Oil of oregano is known to be antiviral and antibacterial. Plenty of herbs are effective in these areas. Do your own research, and you be your own judge as to what to use and how to use it. Like I said, I'm not a medical doctor, and I'm not giving you medical advice. I'm just talking in general about health and boosting immunity. That said, the second most important thing you can do is hygiene. And hygiene protocols takes many forms. You've probably heard it a million times. These days, you got to learn not to touch your eyes, your face, your mouth when you're out and about. And it's very hard to do. Sometimes, in order to help keep me from touching my eyes, which I want to do a lot of times because sometimes the water, I've taken to wearing these safety glasses when I'm out and about, especially when I've been out at work. And the good thing about this, one, it keeps me from touching my eyes, and two, it may prevent some of the viral particles that's floating through the air to go directly in my eyes. Now, this is not sealed to the top, but I usually wear a hat of some type. So air probably is not going down. It could get rammed up in here and go down, but it's not so likely. And particles are not likely to fall upwards or come in at a great distance to the side. So I think I get, it's not 100% protection. But for me to wear a total safety goggle would probably freak people out. So this is the best I can get without totally freaking people out. Some person did ask me about this. Actually, my safety manager asked me about this. And I said, hey, I'm a safety guy, right? I'm the quintessential safety guy. A safety guy wears safety glasses, right? He laughed. It worked. So there you have it. Yeah, I do avionics systems safety at the Marshall Space Flight Center as a contractor. I'm not a NASA guy. I do not speak for NASA nor my contract. But we've shut down because somebody at my job site, somebody at NASA Marshall, has tested positive for the COVID-19 virus. So it has really hit close to home and hit really fast. I mean, this came out just like the day that it was announced we had this stuff in Alabama. It's like one day we had no cases, and now we got 6 all at once. The N95 mask. If nothing else, it might keep you from touching your nose and your mouth. Some people really question the effectivity of these, including myself, especially with a beard. But a little thieves oil, and like I said, viral particles aren't going to flow upwards. You might suck them up if you're breathing hard. But if you're putting these on and off, use the side. They really don't want you using these because they want them available to the medical personnel. And I understand why, because medical personnel, if they're getting sick and dying and the medical system collapses, we're all out of luck. So don't hoard these. But if they tell you it's not effective, consider this. Then why do they want to use them? It does have an effectivity, especially if you use N95 or above. That means it sorts out 95% of the particles, and that would mean the larger particles, like droplets of virus. And if you had an airborne virus by itself, it would not be filtered out by this. But they usually will be inside of droplets, fortunately. So this will still get most of what's in the air if you put it on correctly and take it off correctly. If you use a cheap mask, it will not help you because it'll just get wet from the moisture of your breath, and the viral particles will just get in there and last, and other bacteria. And when you handle it, taking it on and off, you're just probably going to infect yourself. And that's why they tell you that they're not. That's why they question effectivity. A cheap mask is no good, except for maybe keeping you from touching your mouth. But you need to have good protocol for how you remove them. I would try not to touch the mask itself. I try to do it off of the little handles here, especially when you take them off. Because anytime you handle any of the surface, you might be handling bacteria, and you need to wash your hands really good afterwards. And that's another item of hygiene, hand washing. Most people don't wash their hands, and those that do just squirt a little soap on, some water, and they're done. That is not even washing your hands. When I'm out at my worm farm working, I get that worm casting juice and all that stuff up in my hands and the folds and cracks in my hands. That takes a while to wash all that. It's the same way with the virus. And you really got to wash hard and vigorously to get everything out. And that's what you got to do. And they say sing happy birthday twice. And there's other things you can do. It takes about the same amount of time, But you got to be vigorous. Not just the time. You got to have a good soap, good lather, vigorous, and good hard run underwater and get all that stuff out. I have another thing I use to help sanitize surfaces and to wash my hands. Now, you might do this with some caution. I use 91% isopropyl alcohol, which I affectionately call here on Worm Farm worm soap. I've got a reason for that. I'll go into that in more detail in the future. We use a lot of it, so I don't make mixes. This can dry in your hand. If you get cracks in your hand, the virus can enter the cracks and you can get affected that way. Your skin is really your best defense. But if you compromise your skin, you can get an infection that way. That's why this is not bulletproof. It works for me. It works for the people that work for me. But if your skin gets dried out, you've got a problem. Now, some people are making a hand cleanser with this. They're mixing this with aloe vera. 2 parts alcohol, 1 part aloe vera. You do not want it below 50% strength, because then it's probably not going to kill the virus. So you do not want to over dilute it. A lot of your hand sanitizers come with all kind of chemicals in them and are probably really bad for your health. Could promote organ failure and weaken immune systems, which is not what you want when you're dealing with things like this. So watch the hand sanitizer. Everybody's running crazy buying hand sanitizer. I don't use that stuff. I consider it nasty, dirty, and dangerous. That's Greg Allison speaking. Take it for what it's worth. I don't use them. So, hygiene. It also includes the protocol of how you do things. When you're out in public, we've all been told now, don't grab the door handles. Use the back of your hand. Use your knuckles, because you're not likely to put your knuckle in your eye and your mouth. Like I said, your skin is a great defense, line of defense. Stuff don't usually go through your skin, but it can get in your mouth, your ears, your nose. That's where you want to keep it out of. Because when people are out there, they're wiping their nose, blowing their nose, coughing, putting their finger in their eyes, all that stuff gets on their fingers, and they go out and they're touching everything where they go. It might be a wall. You walk up and put your hand on a wall where somebody sneezed or put their hand, you might have a problem. It may be in your money, because these people handle money. And when they handle money, they may not handle the bill you touch, but they may have handled bills that touched it. because money changes hands many times and gets adjacent to other bills, not borrow. Parcels may just rub off from dollar to dollar, and it can survive up to 9 days on paper. And just so happens I've been trading money to Marshall Space Flight Center at the cafeteria, and some back to Marshall Space Flight Center. May have been in the cafeteria, but some one person that we know of tested positive for COVID-19. That's one that tested for it. We don't know how many other cases there may be. There may be 1,000 other cases. A lot of people may have it because they're not testing everybody by a long shot. That's one problem with our numbers in this country right now. The amount of testing is severely deficient. So take that to the bank. Our problem may be far bigger than we realize. So that little episode I did on my first episode of quarantine living about washing your money, that might have looked funny and humorous to some of you guys, but that is important, very important. So don't forget that. Now, and protocols for hygiene include, like I said, the things you touch, but it goes to everything. You really have to think about it. The handle on the coffee pot at work, the on-off switch on the coffee pot, the switches. Use a napkin. Take a napkin from the room, not just when you're going out the doors, but when you're touching these everyday the handle on the refrigerator where you work at. If you're still at work, hopefully you're not having to do that right now. Gas pumps. All the gas pumps have little touch buttons. Some have touch screens. You got the pump handle itself. How many people go through there? The touch pads at your ATM or the touch screen itself. Wear gloves. Use a napkin. I actually use a napkin on the touch screen, and it works. Some touch screens you have to put your finger on. Oh my God! If you do that, use your knuckles. If that'll work. When you get done, wash your hands. Be sure to wash your hands. Do you want to take your hand from that and put it on your steering wheel? Forget about it. Maybe wash your hands then and put your hand back on your steering wheel to pick your eye. You're tearing up. Pick your nose. You know, I think this is $1 million. Oh. Think about that. Scratching your ear. Keep your hands out of your face. That's hard to do. But it's a discipline you've got to learn. The pens where you sign, those little electronic pens with the cord on them, that almost every store has your checkout. When you put your credit card in, they want you to grab that pen and sign your name on glass. Do not do it. See if they can hit cancel or something to let you get a paper copy and use your own pen to sign. If they don't have that option, ask for a piece of paper to wrap around it, or even just wear gloves. But I think it's the best thing. Just ask, print me out a little piece of paper off your receipt thing, or you got a shopping bag or something. Find something else to touch it with. Don't touch it with your hands. So you have to just think about this and everything you go through. What do you touch? How do you touch it? These are important matters for your hygiene. And when you go in and out of a place, now you've got a new reason. Every time you go in and out of any place, a new reason to wash your hands and wash them well. Wash them often. Do it a lot. Do it. Do it now. Do it often. Okay. Hygiene. There's much more to hygiene, but those are the key points, the very top key points. Now, long hair, beard, wash them. So, if you want to wear a gas mask, cut it. I'm actually not wearing gas mask or face mask. I don't wear gas mask in my quarantine living session. Yeah, if we had a serious enough problem, I might consider if it got really bad. Yeah, I'll be shaving and wearing that stuff. But I'm immortal. I'm invincible. You probably shouldn't be thinking that. I have my reasons for thinking that, but then again, don't we all? All right. And again, what I said, Greg Allison's laughing. He's talking about the apocalypse. Humor is also important to keeping up your immunity. All right. So we're talking about hygiene. Kind of went beyond immunity. We're talking hygiene. All right. So the third area that you need to be aware of, the third thing you need to do is social distance. Social distance is really a subset of hygiene. Social distance is this idea that you hear people now saying you need to be 6 feet away from somebody. That mark was set at 2 meters. from overseas. So 6 feet, 2 meters. Actually, they said 3 meters, but that's kind of hard to do. So most people are saying 6 feet in America or 2 meters in most parts of the world. But the particles could, some of them go as far out as 3 meters. So we're talking when somebody's breathing, and mainly when they're sneezing, those little droppies. Sneezing, coughing. You don't want to be where that stuff's hanging in the air. The heavier droplets will fall out fairly soon and fairly close to the person, but then again, they're on the floor where you're walking. Remember that when you're taking your shoes off. Are your shoes clean? Are you wiping your shoes down? What are you doing with your fingers, your hands? This is coming in your house when you walk in your house, in your office when you walk in your office. Social distance. Stay away from people. But social distance is also the key to why people are canceling ball games and social events. We're telling you to stay away from groups of the size 500. I recommend you don't even go out to a restaurant and eat, where there might be 30 people, 20 people, 15 people. I am not wanting to be in any group of any size unless I already know who's in there, know where they've been, and know they're clean. So, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's about as many as I want to be able to stand right now. I don't even be in all these other meetings. So stay out of the, fortunately, airplanes are being canceled. Cruises, you may disagree with that being fortunate. We'll talk about that in a little bit. When we talk about general items here, we'll come back to those kind of topics. So social distance. We're social animals. Social distance is hard to do. So I'm going to return to that in a second. But this is why we cancel all these things. This is why you need to stay away from these things. This is why you need to stop shopping as soon as you can. I told you long ago to prep, and I've also told you even a few weeks ago, if you're not already prepped, you're too late. You didn't believe me. But I told you that weeks ago. If you've not already prepped, you are too late. And if you haven't, you better run. And a lot of you didn't do it then. Now suddenly there's a rush on everything, and all the store shelves are clean. You're going, Greg, what happened? Greg told you. I hope you listened. I hope you listened. What you need to do, one of the things you need to do, survive. I'm not counting in my numbers here. Listen to Greg Allison, please. Yes, I told you this. I told you to prep. I told you to get ready. So, stay out of stores now. You may absolutely have to go in them a little bit. You better finish anything you got to get right now before this spreads a lot more. Go in and wear gloves. You might want to wear the face mask if you got one. Definitely try to get you some safety glasses. And stay away from people as much as you can and really watch what you touch and wash yourself good. Wash your hands. Wash them often. Wash them good. So, there is still online shopping. Yes. And you can go to prepwithgreg.com and buy long-term food supplies. You can get other stuff off the internet too. I think, Walmart, these other places will still be delivering things online. If you want really long-term food storage items, I would say go to prepwithgreg.com, and I'll show you a link to that in a moment. What that means, prepwithgreg.com. That is a place where you can get special deals right now on long-term food storage, and you can get $100 off for a 2-week supply, and so that's 1 month supply. So yeah, I had a bucket here just a little bit ago in my last video. So do that. I'm going to show it to you in a moment, but we're going to move on. The next thing to look at is kind of the fourth item is a special case, an adaptation for social distancing. It's more of a social control, a social protocol. And I'm going to go into this in great detail in future video series of quarantine living. That is the formation of survival communities, survival tribes, families, organizations. Organize yourself with a small subset of people who follow a really good hygiene and social distancing protocol. Stay together. You can't make it through by yourself. We're really talking about a long-term situation, and I'm going to explain that when I start talking perceptions and these other things. So stay tuned, and I will tell you why this is a long-term proposition. I'm going to tell you why this really is serious and not the flu. I'm going to explain this virus to you. So stay tuned for that. Now, this special protocol, the social distancing, is what we're going to bring into effect to have groups that you can interact with that are more likely to be safe. But occasionally somebody may have to step out of that group and go somewhere. So occasionally somebody may do something and you fear they're exposed or they're showing symptoms of exposure. In that case, you need to give them an isolation for a time period. So you got to have some means to do that. Be it a tent outside, special room, special house, special building. You got to have some provisions for isolating people that may require isolation until they've gone through a period of vetting. The incubation for this virus has been, some people say, oh, it's 14 days. After 14 days, you're good. And I'm still hearing that even last Friday at my day job. And I'm going, nope, it is 24 days. So, and that comes from researchers in China. That said, 24 days is a fair bit of time. You know, that's nearly a month. It's a little bit better than 3 weeks, okay? It's like 3.5 weeks. So all that said, social distancing and a special subset of social organization to help you maintain that social distancing while carrying on social functions. I mean, after all, you have a family. And your family, at the very minimum, ought to be a unit like that. You have friends. You really need more than just your kids and you. You're going to need other people to help you through the long term. That's why we need to start forming tribes. So that leads to the fifth item. Let's form tribes. Let's form networks. Greg, we can't do it right now. We're in quarantine. That may be the case by the time you watch this. But I'm hopeful, and I'll talk about this a little bit more. I am hopeful, and I'm not sure, and I got reasons to doubt this, which I'm about to go into. But I am hopeful that through a combination of the travel restrictions and the shutdowns that we're seeing right now, one of the social distancing, work from home. By all means, try to work from home. If you don't have that and you got vacation, take vacation in like the next week or two. But what I'm getting to is I'm really hopeful that these shutdown procedures we're taking now help control the infectivity of this disease. It is a social disease. So by limiting social functions, increasing social distance and isolation, that we can limit the spread of this, abate it enough to get us into the summer. And hopefully, and this is what I doubt to some degree, and I'll show you why in a little bit, this disease will die out to a large degree, or at least to a fair degree, or at least not spread so bad over the course of late spring, summer, early fall. At least the summertime. Hopefully people are getting out and getting their good doses of vitamin D from the sun. That's why flu don't spread so much in summer, or so we think. Okay, so yeah, we need to organize these tribes, these groups. So the idea is that maybe we do it during the summer or early fall while this thing is abating. And I'm in the process of setting up online communities to help us manage this. I've been taking email, and I've got some 147 emails so far that of people that want to join the tribe. I've got a couple other people from other sources. So if you want to join the tribe, email me at HAL5, HAL5 space at AOL.com. That's Hotel Alpha Lima HAL 5 space Sierra Papa Alpha, which we say Alpha in the Army, but I'll say Apple, not the apple you eat. Charlie Echo, SPACE at Apple October, or Oscar as we used to say, Lima. I don't know, I'll use October because most people know what that is. It's Oscar Lima, Lima, whatever. HAL5 space at AOL.com. It's the word space, not a space character. Well, some people say I am a space character. Like I said, humor is also important, my friends. So there we go. That's the 5 key essential things. Now, great. What is it about this virus? Why is it so bad? It's the infectivity rate that's the key thing. The infectivity rate of this virus is very high. It spreads very fast. Greg, tens of thousands of people died from the flu every year. Why are you worried about this? We only got a few thousand cases of it and just a few deaths. It's because of that infectivity rate. This virus is new. That's why they call it the novel coronavirus. It is new. It is just now starting to spread out. It just popped up in December. Some people are now saying the Chinese concealed it a little bit. It might have been November, but this disease has just arrived on the world scene. For whatever case or reason, it's just got here. It's just starting to spread. And things, this is on a geometric growth pattern, which is like you have 1 grain of sand, the next day you got 2, the next day you got 4, the next day you got 8. Well, as long as it's 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, that don't seem too bad. But those numbers doubling every time they double start to grow explosively. So it goes out like this. Then it goes boom. Well, we're on the curve ratcheting up the head for the sky like a rocket launch. That's where we're at. This thing is about to grow and about to grow explosively. And the only way to really stop it is to stop social interaction, to stop social distance. To really maximize social distance, because it is a social disease. And that's why that is important. That is the best way to stop it. And if everybody boosts their immune system, that will help too. But dietary deficiencies and so forth in America make us particularly vulnerable these days, maybe more so than when 1918 Spanish flu hit. The other reason that this is considered very serious is that for 2 reasons. One is it has a higher case fatality rate for all apparent purposes. The WHO said the case fatality rate or case fatality ratio was 3.4. But they may not have been taken into account the mild uncounted cases. So if you really factor in, although they did say they went to China and they did factor that in. Well, who actually said that? Well, let's just, for the sake of discussion, say it's only 1%. And that may be the right number. It may be as low as 1%. But 1% is still 10 times higher than is the case for the common garden variety flu. 10 times higher means 10 times more people would die. Whereas the common garden variety flu might kill 1 in 1,000, this would be 1 in 100. But it may be 2 in 100, 3 in 100, 4 in 100. We don't know how it's all going to play out yet. It could be higher. It could be higher than WHO estimated. But let's say it's 1%. That's still horrible. It's going to take out people we love, people we know, people we cherish. But there's something else to know about this. This flu it's a respiratory disease, and it causes pneumonia. And it causes it in a very insidious way. And it just so happens about 10% of the people that get this have to be hospitalized. I mean, they're really, really critical. And there'll be even more than that are really sick. I mean, real sick, that don't go to the hospital. Still, most people, this will just be a regular flu. And for a lot of people, the symptoms will be so mild, they'll hardly notice they got it, especially young people. But when you start putting 10% of the people in the hospital that have this, you're going to swamp the hospitals. They're going to be over capacity. And it just so happens that some of the most vulnerable people to catching this and dying from are medical staff. Doctors and nurses, healthcare providers in China were really dropping. It was hitting them hard. We can't afford to lose these key resources in our community, or our medical system could fall apart. This is crucial. And when you got all the beds full for people with this, if you got cancer, you got this, you got that, and you go to the hospital, you need an emergency operation, how do you get in? And do you even want to be there with all these sick people? Those are things to think about. So it is more infective. It is deadlier. And then it has that real bad side consequences of critical health issues, which are much higher than regular flu. So all that taken in context causes society to be very adverse to it. It causes people not to want to go out. You might not get sick, but do you want to pick up something and take it to your grandma, your grandfather, your mom, your dad, older brother, older sister, aunt or uncle, cousin, and cause them to get infected and get sick? Is that what you want to do? No, you love these people. Also, a lot of the older people are involved in running a lot of the critical organizations in our country, and they may not be as irreplaceable as you think. All that said, it does have dire consequences for our society. And I have said on other videos that we're fortunate in a sense that if we've got to have a virus that causes a pandemic, that causes us to shut things down, it was probably very fortunate it happens initially with a virus that has a case fatality rate of less than 10 or less than 5, hopefully, because it gives us the chance to learn, to adapt to how to deal with something that could be far worse. And there are diseases out there that would be far worse if they were to come upon us, and they very may well do it, and they may do it in the not too distant future. That being human transmissible bird flu, which 2 varieties have been developed in independent labs in different countries on this earth, in Indonesia and the Netherlands. How stupid was that? And there's a reason for a space program. Do that stuff on the moon. And if you really think you got to do it, which no. There was there was an infection, a virus known as Ebola restin. It was airborne in Reston, Virginia, between monkeys. I think it was rhesus monkeys, and they were in different rooms. And the monkeys in one room infected monkeys in another through the ventilation shafts. Ebola is typically a disease where you got to touch body fluids to get it. In this case, no, it was airborne. They totally wiped that out and cleaned that place up. And my previous employer, Grumman Space Station Immigration Contract, wound up getting that building on it for a sweetheart deal because it just been cleaned up for Ebola restin. And I've been in that building. Some of my kid friends worked in that building, one of which I talked to earlier tonight. He was based out of that building. I just visited it. Ebola restin. It was real. It was airborne. Ebola could go airborne. Or could be engineered to go airborne, like these knuckleheads in the Netherlands. Netherlander knuckleheads. Excuse me, I don't really mean to beat on the Netherlands people. I've got a lot of fine, good, brilliant Dutch friends. But those guys who invented this virus, I don't count in that brilliant category. Yeah, they may be terribly smart, but there's something missing. If you're going to invent a virus that could wipe out half the humanity if it accidentally got loose from your lab. Once again, Sir Martin Reeves, who thinks that we've got a good chance of the world getting wiped out either bio-era or bio-terror. That's what our final hour. He is the Astronomer Royal of Great Britain. I think he knows what he's talking about. So, my friends, this is not what we need in this world, but it's been invented and it's sitting in labs. Who knows what else is in these labs? Who knows what could arise naturally? So, in this discussions about the things that could come, what could arise naturally is frightening when you consider that when the Spanish flu hit in 1918, there was no air travel. It did not exist. If you want to travel overseas, you got on a ship. You steamed for weeks to go from one point to another, maybe months. How far you were going. So that just wasn't possible for things to spread that fast, but they did. At the time, 90% of the people live in rural communities. Today, 90% of the people live in cities, big urban megapolises, mega cities. There's mega cities now, over 20 million people in them, several of them. And those cities are vastly connected, and people are traveling back and forth with air travel, cars, every means you can imagine, cargoes being shipped back and forth. We are now one community, one tribe. In the old days, there were diseases that probably hit a tribe and killed everybody in it, but it stopped at the borders of that tribe. Today, we're one tribe. This is why I worry that something will get us, something big. They call it Disease X now. Is this COVID-19 Disease X? We are reacting to this disease because also, and especially in the West, fear of litigation. Fear of litigation will cause team owners and employers to shut their operations down, because if certain people go, people go to these events and get sick and they get it and it's traced to that event, the owners and business owners can be expected to be sued out of existence. So yeah, you're going to get these shut down. It's going to happen. And it's going to have huge economic ramifications. And economic ramifications may be the biggest, hardest hit of all with this thing. That's why we need to learn how to live with this. And that goes back to the tribe. So if you want to join the tribe, join me. Go to howfispace at AOL.com. We've got to learn a new way of living in our society. We've got to learn to decentralize. We've got to learn to make our society more resilient. I'll be covering that with the activities for the tribe development. I'll be covering that in quarantine living. We will be talking about things our society needs to do to become more resilient, to survive, thrive, and stay out of the hive, because we're going to diversify. Because this old model of globalism is not sustainable. It's not even survivable. They think it's the answer to all these problems. No, it will crumble. It absolutely will crumble. It cannot survive. If they think it's the answer, no, it's not the answer. It don't even work. And it's very inefficient. And it helps create these problems that I'm talking about with the social systems that breed and spread disease. So it's not the system that we want. It's also the system that enables control to the nth degree, beyond which it even means anything to be human. We don't need that. We don't want that. Remember the 3 axioms I've mentioned in other videos. Power corrupts. And absolute power corrupts absolutely, as stated by Lord Acton. The golden rule: he who has a goal makes the rule, and birds of a feather flock together. You take these 3 things in concert, and then you allow more and more powerful systems of growth, you're in trouble. That's not what we need. So we're going to be talking about decentralization, spread out manufacturing, to have additive manufacturing and small shop manufacturing that's done in a localized area as much as possible. Yeah, you're still going to need some distributed systems. I do believe and promote the idea of work at home. And often that's going to mean bigger and more powerful internet systems. But they should be systems with transparency, things that can maintain our liberty. We should be looking for a repeal of the Patriot Act, in my humble opinion, and not a second one because of this disease that's spreading around. So these are things we need to push for. We need to push for our liberty, our freedom, the transparencies in government, especially when they start developing vaccines. And by the way, let me explain this virus now. COVID-19 is a coronavirus. It has a shell. It has spike proteins. Those spike proteins are the keys that go to it, attach to ACE2 receptor sites on your cell and get pulled in, because if they got the right geometry, that ACE2 receptor will pull them in. Smokers have the most ACE2 receptors, by the way. So smokers are far more vulnerable to this disease. Now, this is not a retrovirus. It is a virus with a shell. Retrovirus will go in your body and embed itself with your DNA and lie dormant for years on end, and then one day it emerges. HIV, herpes, small chickenpox, which is also a form of herpes virus, which later can emerge as shingles. It can lay dormant in your system for years and then come out, or come out several times. Those diseases are insidious, but they become part of you. The coronavirus does not do that. But the coronavirus, no virus is alive, by the way. This idea of killing the virus is a misnomer. It's not alive. It can't replicate it on its own. It can't divide on its own. It can only divide by hijacking the genetic materials in your own body. And by the way, the coronavirus uses RNA instead of DNA. It's the same as the mitochondria and certain other organelles in your body use in your cell at the cellular level. So the coronavirus, though, can dissociate. It needs a certain amount of moisture. If it dries out, or if it's on a metal surface long enough, the free electron valence outer shell of the metals would probably neutralize it. Metals are malleable because they share that outer shell of electrons between the different atoms. And so they're not locked in, really solid. That's why you can hammer them and reshape them and bend them. They have to remain strength. They're ductile, but also they conduct heat and electricity very well for the same reason. So metals are really, well, also they're denser. So metals are really interesting and have a lot of good properties. And one of them is that they're somewhat antiviral. So viruses will not survive as long on a metal surface, but they can still be expected to survive a fair little time. Copper is one of the most, the more conductive of the metal, probably the more antiviral and antibacterial properties they have. Do not use copper pipes in an aquaponics system if you don't want to wipe out the biome that's required for your system to operate. So there you go. In fact, you got to watch metals in general. All that said, the virus is not alive, but it can dissociate. So you can destroy it, which is what we would call killing it in our common everyday vernacular, but technically you're not killing it. So so it's not alive, but you can dissociate it. Alcohol or any agent that goes in and breaks the chemical bonds in it, an oxidizer like hydrogen peroxide or Clorox, which goes in and chemically reacts with it, breaks it up, breaks the chemical bonds in it. Ultraviolet light breaks the chemical bonds of the molecules that form it. That destroys the virus. The virus can't sustain itself too long in an open, dry air environment, especially with air, which has oxygen. So these are things that get rid of the virus. So on the surface of your skin, eventually it will die if it don't make entry into your moist tissues. Then you got a problem. I've heard somebody say it was heat intolerant, so that's why it would die on the surface of your skin, but it can survive the heat inside of you, so that don't make sense. There's a lot of stuff out there that's been said that don't make really good sense all by themselves. Now, maybe it's a factoid taken in context with something else that might make sense, like maybe it dries out, but it's not the heat directly that destroys it. So, I say it survives in your tissues. All that said, so now you know that COVID-19 can be controlled to some degree by boosting your immunity, by good hygiene, social distancing, and social distancing can be enhanced in a manner that you can survive within your community if we form tribes and communities and families to manage this and organize them properly. And 5, you can go to How5 space at LL.com, and we're going to work together to build these networks. And I'm setting up also a social network where we can meet online to do some of these things. So I've got a person that's going to help me get all this stuff started. So we're starting to make progress in that area, and none too fast. But we're going to have to move fairly quick because this stuff can really do us in fast. So, and the other important things you got to know is this is not the flu. It's far worse. You do have to take it serious. And there are young people that do die from it, by the way. Don't forget that. And some of them are healthy. So if you have health problems, if your immune system is compromised, you are more vulnerable. If you have diabetes, if you're a kid that just sits on your couch all day long and does this, my friend, you're not out getting sun, you're not exercising, you're not in good shape. If all you're eating is the junk out of the grocery store, you're not in good shape. So let me show you a few things real fast and tell you why I also think that this is going to come around. I had the hope that in the summertime, this would abate and go away. Everybody's thinking, well, this will peak in sometime in April and then go away. And I hope they're right. But let's look in the Southern Hemisphere where it's summer right now. These countries down here have just started getting it because there's less travel to the Southern Hemisphere countries. They're getting, and their populations tend to be smaller. They're getting it later than us, but it is growing very fast there. Here's Brazil, 151 cases, confirmed cases, that is. Confirmed cases are probably lagging the actual cases. Argentina, 34. Chile, 61. 38 in Peru. 28 in Ecuador. And it goes on and on and on. Here, Costa Rica, 26. South Africa, 38. These are Southern Hemisphere countries that are just starting to get this. And it is, by the way, summertime there. But if you really want to see, look at down here in Australia. New South Wales, 112 cases. I mean, if you come over here and look, Australia has, how many cases are there in Australia? I think I might have blew past it here. There it is. 600. Oh, it's Austria, excuse me. Australia, 250 cases. 250 cases. No, that's not funny. I'm sorry. I almost did it for Austria. 250 cases in Australia in summertime. That's just getting started. New Zealand, 6 cases, summertime. But yes, okay. Yeah, but they're still down in the southern hemisphere. What about the equator? Ooh, what about the equator? Singapore, 212. And Singapore's had a very good, strong protocol for controlling this, by the way. It would be a lot more. Malaysia, 238. Indonesia, 96. Brunei, 40. Philippines, 111. Oh, it's really shot in the Philippines lately. So don't think for a minute that this is something that's just absolutely going to go away in the summer. What can happen is this thing can simmer in the summer and really explode next fall. The 1918 Spanish flu was just like a mild flu in the first season. It was the second season that it was so deadly, and it lasted 2 years. And it arose out of just basically the flu virus, which we had probably some immunity to. Now, this thing is hitting us. We have absolutely no immunity to. We don't. I've heard people estimate it could be around 5 or 6 or 7 years. And when this is done playing, God knows what else may come at us. So we really need to learn these lessons of social isolation. We need to have these survival communities for many other reasons, such as there are certain advantages to be gained by working from home and having the ability to grow all your food at home. Look at Iran, 1,729 cases. I don't even know if I can find Italy on this map. Oh my gosh, I got to zoom in to get Italy, pick apart from all these other places. Look at Europe, is so crowded. Look at this. Half the cases of the world now are outside of China almost. Look here, that's almost 160,000. China, 80,000, some change there, almost 81,000. Almost half the cases now are outside of China. Now we can click Italy. Italy has over 20,000 cases. Italy has more than a fourth the cases that are in China. This is a newer disease in Italy. Italy has far fewer people than China. Far, far fewer people. It's a much smaller country, yet it has already got 1/4 the number of cases, which means more people per capita are officially infected in Italy than in China. Now, to be honest, I trust Italy's numbers far more than I trust China. I would say China's true numbers probably come closer on the per capita basis to resembling Italy. And in Italy, there's 1,441 deaths. What does China tell us? China says, okay, come on, China, come up here. China claims they've only had, 3 times that number of deaths. Well, there are people who claim that the crematoriums are running full scale, 24/7. So you figure yourself. Now, what this map is not so good for anymore is showing us the actual locations of some of the outbreaks. For example, for Alabama, there's just 1 dot now, and it's showing 7 cases. So that went up. For Tennessee, 32, but it's just 1 dot. It don't show you where in the state it is. If you probably want to know where to avoid. There is this, which is gives a little bit more updated case numbers, which is updated more often than the John Hopkins site, which sometimes don't have. I've noticed like didn't get updated right at all, or they even dropped Florida off. I don't know. The John Hopkins site's getting really wonky, so I'm getting to the point I really don't even like going there because they dropped Florida totally out in Georgia for a while, then they added them back in. It's like really nobody was sick in Georgia, Florida. Okay, now this is a New York Times interactive map that really shows where things are at. I don't know how often it's going to be updated, but just look at it. It's showing a lot of cases around about. See here, we can show 6 in Alabama. Early Friday, there were none. So, look at this. This is my state that just boom, it exploded in cases. Of course, New York, Washington, San Francisco. What else is happening? Chicago, Denver, Colorado area, Atlanta. These areas are exploding. It's pretty bad in Louisiana. So these are some hotbed areas. There's like 2 separate circles, well, really 3 circles here in Tennessee that are all close to Nashville. I think one of them is probably Franklin, just south of there. And now there's even a case in Alaska, but it shows down here in the very southern Alaska. I used to live up here in the interior. Never got a sniffle the whole time I lived there. So this is why I tell you that this thing can be around and be around for a long time. It can last through the summertime and then really take off like wildfire very next fall. You know, for the fall, spring, and winter. And it may do this again and again. We don't know. We just really don't know. It could be far more deadly the next time around. That's a possibility. We don't know. And everything else is conjecture. But if you based on what happened in the 1918 Spanish flu, it's conjecture that one should ponder. The key operative thing, and the reason I'm mentioning this, is this represents an opportunity for us to change the way we live. We have to do it for now to survive. But we need to look at this as a long-term posture to be able to live in this fashion, because what comes around next may be far worse. This may be a training exercise that can prepare us for that eventuality. So, my friends, this is weighty. It's grave. It's not a pretty picture. But we can use this to develop more resiliency, to learn, and be more prepared next time around. And there are opportunities that you can take advantage of, especially as we decentralize. I'll be talking about ways that you can make money, make a living in my quarantine living sessions that I'll be coming with. So, quarantine living, I'm going to put up with a website for us to develop our tribes. So to get on the invite list, go to email me at halfispace@aol.com. You need to prep. You need to prep. You need to prep now. So I'm going to find it. Here we are. I said I'd come to this. But here, it was 6 weeks, 8 weeks, now it's 10 weeks. I'm saying we're going to be in this longer than 10 weeks. Look, Wuhan, they're just talking about letting Wuhan out. Wuhan's been locked down for 2 months, my friends. And it could be longer. So look at here. You can get these specials here. 4 weeks food supply, $100 off. And almost $70 off a 2-week food supply. And a lot of really good food, and this stuff can last like up to 25 years from my Patriot Supply. But go help my channel out by going and get these discounts when you go to prepwithgreg.com. If you go straight to my Patriot Supply, you don't get these discounts, my friends. You get these discounts by going to prepwithgreg.com. And I'm going to tell you, we're in for a lot of long-term stuff. So I would advise you get this stuff now. If you haven't got beans and rice and that kind of stuff, I would advise going and grab that while you can, and it hopefully tide you over these next 10 weeks. But that did say certain items. Didn't say everything's going to be 10 weeks late. But there are some items that you've got a long lead time on. So consider that. Go to, you need to be planting this planting season. I'm going to do a video of Seeds of Survival real soon. So right now, go to my links for True Leaf Market. And you need worms for your garden, so you can recycle your garden waste, because you're not going to be able to go to the store under quarantine and buy fertilizers. Greengregs.com to buy worms. All right, so I've said enough. One other thing is keep your immune system up by keeping a positive attitude and pray. I will be doing some more sessions. I think I'll do one maybe on the 19th. Since that's spring equinox. It's also a special day for me, a very special day. So I think on the 19th, we will probably do a special session, a special prayer session on the 19th at 9 p.m. And of course, I will have the Woden's Woken World on the 18th, Wednesday, Woden's Day at 9 p.m. So that'll give you time to prepare, to get ready, and think about our next special prayer session. The next prayer will be to pray for both peace and healing, peace and health. We will pray for both this time on a global basis. And we'll probably have a little individual prayer session at the end of Woden's Work tomorrow. And this is an interfaith prayer session, not a pagan or Christian or anything else. It's going to be not faith specific because I'm trying to be open to everybody. I just have fun. Woden's Work tomorrow. I'm just using that alliteration because I like it. Green Greg's, Galactic Greg's, Green Greg's Garden, Prep the Green Greg's. I've always liked alliteration, my friends, which is a very dramatic, Nordic, Odinic thing to do, right? Oh, well, so much for all that. I do like to have some fun. Like I said, you got to keep your humor up. I have gone very long, but people have asked me, Greg, what do I do? Greg, what do I do? That's what this video is. This video is what do you do? There's more you can study, far more. I urge you to do that. I do mention more in other videos. If you get a chance, you can watch my other videos, watch other videos on YouTube. Go research things. Go read. We'll also be talking on Quarantine Living about things to do under a quarantine session so you don't go crazy, so you don't lose your mind, so you don't go Greg Allison. Anyway, my friends, I thank you so much for watching. If you stayed on this long, I want you to do something specific so I know that you stayed in this long. Say in your comment section, say, Greg, I like mint in my tea. No, Greg, I like mint and pine needles in my tea. I get people really thinking, pine needles? Why did I say that? Well, actually, the pine needles are very healthy for you, and so is the mint. So who knows? Maybe people, they may not even get it, but you know, they might get a good tip out of that. All right, everyone, you've been great. You've been wonderful. We'll stop the share, and at this point, I'm going to say thank you for watching.